Considering that, how much of a retaliation do we expect from IRGC? We know that there are some countries like, we know Bahrain, Dubai, Israel, and Iraq, of course, have been countries that have been attacked at these bases. How long do you think can Iran go against these bases where these forces like U.S. and Israel, considering the fact that their leader is not there, Khamenei is not there? How long can Iran go for?
It's not just leader, it's logistics, it's the ability of their missile force to function. In the June war, they were able to use number of massive attacks a day,
Mm.
each 7, 9, 10 in number of barrages. This time, it's quite a pattern that has been established. It's a kind of drip, drip, drip. Each time it's one or two missiles. So it's
Mm.
even though Israelis have to be under shelter, but it's not a barrage. So it's not clear whether there are coordinating forces that have a clear command and control from Iran in a central fashion, or it's simply each commander of battery is able to release his own missiles. So far, I think they have difficulties to have a good command and control from what we have seen in the last 25 hours.
Hmm. And Trump has been, of course, has said, and of course, you also mentioned how Trump would want this not to go for more than 4 or 5 days. Does that mean that
Even
they
less,
are?
possibly.
And so, considering that, do you think that he's confident, U.S. is confident about Israel and U.S. together being able to fulfill the goal that they're going for?
I don't think that anybody knows yet. And I think that it's Trump who give the shots and he would can stop the Israelis. So
Hmm.
even if the Israelis would like to continue a little further, I think that Trump will call the shot, and it will be done in part by his domestic consideration to see what kind of perceptions he sees in America about this attack. So far, it has been successful. So far, there is no American losses,
Hmm.
American casualties. So far, he can continue for a few more days, but I think it very much depends what's going to be the reaction in the United States.
Right, but then how is then the Americans looking at this attack? We know that Democrats have now demanded Trump be restrained. There's talks about war powers resolution that limits president war powers. What kind of reaction is coming in from America itself?
And it's only 24 hours, but as you mentioned, there are already calls to restrict
Hmm.
the president from the Congress, and they come from Democrats and also a few Republicans.
Hmm.
I think he will have the leash for at least 2 or 3 more days. But it's very much depends what we go. It's very much depends on the results on the ground and how the how successful or lack of successful it will be in the next few days. So it's a very, very dynamic thing. It's difficult to make assessment. But I think the pressure is growing on the president to end it soon. The president was always somebody who was very skeptical about long-term American interventions elsewhere in the world, in particular in the Middle East, and
Hmm.
now it's being returned back to him.
And that being said, would there be considerations of any diplomatic interference in any case, considering there's any back channels diplomacy that could take place, and or the Gulf states taking part in these back channels? Is there a possibility as of now?
It's possible. It very much depends what will happen in the next 2 days.
Mm.
The sense of to what degree the regime is still robust and is able to survive. If that would be the perception in the next 2 days, I think there will be a desire to capitulate, to push the regime into capitulation and to reach some kind of ceasefire. If there is a sense that the regime is very weak and fragile, I think there will be more readiness to continue a little further to see whether the regime can be toppled. We do not know that. I mean, it's only 25 hours, and there is no clear perception on that question.
Hmm. Also, if we talk about Israel, would they comply when Trump talks about that? Okay, we're going to finish this in 3 days or 4 days. Would Israel comply to that? Because when we look at the attacks that Israel has been conducting against the military leaders that they've taken out, how do you perceive Israel's role here?
Israel would like to continue further to weaken militarily, logistically, and the very governing of the regime. I think it's Trump who calls the shot. So it will be very much, if he will decide to force Israel to stop after two. Remember what he did in the June war. Essentially, he stopped Israel pilots. As they were flying, he forced them to turn back and to fly back to Israel with ammunitions on the planes. So it's very much up to him ultimately. Israel would like to continue further. Israel did not put any timetable to these exchanges, but it will be Trump who will call the shots, I think.
Right, and what does this mean for example, there's also the talks of IRGC trying to stop the Strait of Hormuz, which is of course important when it comes to trade, considering the fact that, Trump's trade tariffs were called illegal by the U.S. Supreme Court, and they were at war, and war of course costs money. How is Trump taking a look at this and balancing that with his war efforts in West Asia?
I think this is a very critical factor, the questions of the Strait of Hormuz. So far, despite the public declarations of the Iranian, the Strait of Hormuz is still open. As I understand, at least two major ships cross it, one back and one the other way, and without problems. Whether they will be able to keep it that way and whether the situation will remain, that still remain to be seen. But the questions of the price of oil and its impact on the U.S. and the global economy is very, very important. I think the United States has some elements of power that if in case the Iranians are trying to close those straits, the U.S. would not let it happen. But so far we have not. There is a lot of talk, but we have not seen it yet.
Right. Also, I would like to take your perception upon the Iranian people. They have been protesting against the regime for long, but when it comes to the death of Khamenei, we've seen people pouring out on the streets. There seems to be, of course, there's mourning there. There seems to be like a, I mean, if there is, if probably you would be better to make us understand if there's a division of our perception about this Iranian regime. When Trump says that Iranians have the power to change it, do they really have it?
Well, we saw mourning officially, and part of it we saw even the speaker on the Iranian TV crying when he had to announce the death of Khamenei. At the same time, we saw in many parts of Iran people celebrating his eliminations. Iran is a big country, 90 million people. There are certain elements in Iran which definitely supports the regime in that its independence that relates to the regime. I wouldn't be surprised if that's at least 20% of the country. There is also a major part of the country who is against that. We will see what will be the situations. I think part of it, whether will come a moment that will be some more demonstration beyond just students and desertion from military or even from the Revolutionary Guard, and it will be orders to shoot those people, and what would be the response by those who will get that kind of orders. We have not come to that point. As I said, it's only about 25 hours, and there is a lot remain to be seen. So there is a lot of open questions.
All right, Dr. Cohen, if you could just stay with us for a while. We have some breaking news just coming in. Now, breaking news coming in. Iran state media has now confirmed that the country's armed forces chief of staff has been killed in U.S.-Israeli strikes. Earlier, it was confirmed that Revolutionary Guards Chief Mohammad Baghpoud and Ali Shamkhani, the top advisor for security affairs to the supreme leader, were killed in the strikes. And Iran has now vowed severe, decisive, and regrettable punishment for those it referred to as murderers of Khamenei. It said most intense offensive operation on Israel and U.S. bases will begin in moments from now, and we've seen a few of them. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned Tehran against retaliation. He said it would hit Iran with forces never seen before if it decides to attack. Now, earlier we knew that Baghpoud and Of course, these were names that came before, but now it has been confirmed that that Iran state media has confirmed the country's armed forces chief of staff has been killed in U.S.-Israeli strikes. Earlier, it was confirmed that the Revolutionary Guards chief Mohammad Baghpour and Ali Shamkhani, the top advisor for security affairs to the supreme leader, were killed. And now there has been an announcement by Iran state media, who has now confirmed that the country's armed forces chief of staff has been killed in the U.S.-Israeli strikes. Dr. Cohen, this is the latest that we were just talking about how Israel-U.S. strikes have been able to take out these major leaders. What are your perception about the leadership in Iran right now when we have all these top leaders being taken down by Israel and U.S. strikes?
Yeah. As I said before, apparently it was two meetings, major meetings of civilian and military leadership, one headed by the presence of the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, that both of them were compromised, and the result was elimination of many of those members, many of the people who participated in that meeting. That's a stunning achievement on the Israeli and American intelligence, and there was close sharing intelligence. And I think that determined the exact timing of this operation. And most likely there was a confirmed information only in the last few hours, and it was morning as opposed to night and all that. Its impact on the morale of the Iranian new leadership and the people who took these interim positions, it's not fully clear, but it must be profound. I mean, the fact that you're losing so many people with knowledge, with impact, with a certain sense of control, and they're gone, they're not part of the chain anymore, chain of command, the impact must be very, very severe.
Right. After Dr. Cohen, we'll be taking a short break. I would love to have you back, and if you could just stay with us so that we can analyze all the developments coming in. We're slipping into a very short break. We'll be right back with more analysis.